Welcome to the Vintage Girl Next Door. My name is Laci, and today we are doing a Q&A video. So, something crazy happened. We hit 50K here in our little vintage community. Isn't that so crazy? Oh, so crazy. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for all your kind comments and words of encouragement. I sure appreciate that more than you know. And I am trying my very best to get back to all of you, and just know that even if I don't type an answer, I will try to like all of them and read all of them for sure. So thank you so much. First of all, I hope all of you are safe and well. I know this is a crazy time, and sometimes it feels weird to just keep making videos and doing things like normal, but I also think it helps to lift the mood sometimes, and it seems like you guys appreciate that. And so I'm going to continue as much as I am able to keep making videos, and it also helps me to feel better too when I am still doing what I love and sharing with you guys and chatting with you guys. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going. So I sure hope you guys are all taking care and being safe out there. So I thought it would be fun to do an updated Q&A video since I haven't done one for a really long time. So I asked and you guys delivered. We have a whole bunch of questions. Hopefully I can get through all of them, and if not, I'll just have to make another one, right? So grab a cup of tea, sit down with me, and let's answer some of your questions. Since I film on my phone, I've actually written down all the questions, so I have them here, and we will just go right on through. These aren't really in any particular order, just the order that you guys asked them, so we'll just bounce around a little bit and hopefully get to all of them. First question, do you have a community of vintage-loving friends, either in person or online? Yes, I do. I am so lucky to have met and come in contact with so many beautiful friends. There are a few vintage friends here in my town that I love. Unfortunately, we don't really get together very often or at all, but when we meet in passing, we have a little chat, and it is great. I've been very lucky to meet the most wonderful people online, mostly through Instagram, and also a few through YouTube as well. And some of those ladies I've actually been able to meet in real life, which was such a dream and so much fun to be together in person. So yeah, thank you. Shout out to my vintage ladies. You know who you are. I love you, and I'm so glad we have our group of close-knit friends, and we can chat about life and all things vintage, and just all in all look out for each other, because that's what friends do, right? Okay, next question. What modern things do you own? Well, I mean a lot. Like, as I said in my welcome video, I love vintage style. I love the 1950s. I surround myself with those items, but I also live in 2020 and I work and I have to have modern things. So I have a cell phone, which I film on and edit on. I have a laptop. We do have a modern TV in our basement. And I mean, I don't know, just normal day-to-day things, I guess. Trying to think, what else? We have a microwave. It is a vintage style one. It's reproduction. But guess what? They had microwaves starting in 1946 in homes. So there you go. Okay, that kind of leads into the next question. I had a ton of people ask on the welcome video and all my other videos about my TV. So my friend from high school was so kind and gave me her grandmother's TV, and it's actually a mid-60s model. It is a Motorola Quasar 2, and it did work at first, kind of. The picture was really, really green, like everything was green tinged. I don't know if maybe where it was setting in her grandmother's home, it was just like in the direct sun or something, but it was definitely, no matter what we did to try to adjust it, the picture was super green. and we could only pick up just a couple of channels and not very well. So what we decided to do, because we wanted it to be cute and functional as well, so what we did was we bought a 28-inch, I believe, modern flat screen TV, smart TV, and my husband took out the tube, like the insides of the old TV, and we put the flat screen inside it. So it still looks vintage and cute, but it also works as a TV as well. Next question, do you dress vintage at work? Yes, I do. I am so lucky to work for a company that embraces people's individual style. It does need to be like business and work appropriate, and so I do keep that in mind. But typically I find if I am dressed in a skirt or a dress, that works out just fine. And so yeah, I do dress vintage at work. That leads into the next question. What types of comments do you get at work from guests and work family? What do they think of my style? So guests really love it. And in fact, a lot of times people ask if I am dressed this way because of my job. I guess it fits in with the movie theater vibe for people. I don't know, but yeah, so I just say, no, this is just my style. And people love it. Sometimes people are just the sweetest. Sometimes they come in and they say, like, I just look forward to coming to the movies to see what you're going to be wearing and to see you. And I'm like, oh, thank you. So sweet. Some people call me the 50s girl, which is fine. But yeah, for the most part, I would say like 99% positive, and I've made some really, really good friends with our regular guests that come in. In fact, I've had some of them bring me like their mom's things, like jewelry, brooches, things like that, and that is so sweet and so kind. I'm so grateful for those people in my life. And so yeah, it makes it a lot of fun. As far as the people I work with, they really don't say too much about it. Like for the most part, they've all known me as vintage style, since I've been doing it for quite a while now. And it's just the normal, I guess. I don't know. Nobody said anything or thought it was weird. Sometimes they compliment, which is nice. But yeah, it's kind of a non-issue, honestly. So I also had a few questions on how to take care of vintage clothing, and honestly, that could be its own video, because it really depends on a lot of things like fabric and the condition of the item and things like that. But in general, I would say if it is more of like a cotton type of fabric, then I go ahead and give it a hand wash or soak it. If it seems like really sturdy, I do have some day dresses that seem like they're okay. I do put them in the gentle cycle in the washing machine. Well, hopefully that's not too bad, but they seem to be fine. And then everything else I usually just hand wash. Delicate fabrics, like for example, this dress that I have on, I would probably take this one to the dry cleaner. But I do have to be careful with that as well, because dry cleaning can be harsh on clothes. So I only use the certain one, and they've called me before and with questions and things like that when they were afraid for a certain item or afraid to damage things. So you have to find someone that you trust with your vintage garments, if you do decide to take them to the dry cleaner. In general, I usually soak things when I first get them from the thrift store or from estate sales or whatever. I go ahead and give them a good soak and wash them. I use mild detergent. Woolite is really good to use. And then there's also one called Retro Clean, and they do have an Instagram. They have a really good detergent that is meant for vintage items and delicate items like that. How did you first get into vintage style? So I actually answered this question in my welcome video, so I will link that one in the eye so that if you missed it, you can check that out. And I talk more about that and also about me and my family a little bit, so if you missed that one, I will link it for you. When you first started moving to a vintage look, did you start with clothes or hair and makeup? So I think I did mention this maybe in my In the Know video, but I started doing my hair and makeup first, just because that was easier and you can pretty much do it with a lot of the things you already have. And then I started feeling like my hair and makeup didn't really match my clothing, and so that's when I started getting into the vintage clothing as well. What are the crown jewels of your vintage collection? Well, to me, the pieces that are from my family are the closest to my heart. So I do have a really pretty lucite purse that was my grandma's, and it is white lucite and it has some little diamantes, like little gems on it. So pretty, and I remember that sitting on her dresser for years and years and years, and I always thought it was pretty, and so she gave that to me. So that one definitely is one of my most prized possessions. Also, she gave me all of her brooches, which I wear brooches almost every single day, and I would say a good 80% of my collection is from my grandma. So those are very special to me as well. Aside from my family heirloom type pieces, I would probably say my atomic shadow box. That one is a recent acquisition and it does need some restoration, but that was like my unicorn of vintage decor, and we finally found it just last year, so that is definitely high on my list as well. What is your favorite thrifted home decor item and clothing item? So I think I may have told this story in a video, I don't remember, but I think my favorite vintage home decor item that we have found thrifting is my Broyhill Brasilia furniture. So credenza right here, that's one of the pieces. So this is what happened. I'll tell it very quick. My husband and I were out looking for yard sales, garage sales, and we were driving down the street, and he all of a sudden was like, hit the brakes and was like, pulled the car over. On the side of the road, there was a rummage sale. They had a full collection of Broyhill Brasilia furniture, which we had already collected like 2 pieces of from a vintage store. So those were retail price. And we just thought, we'll just have to piece the collection together over time and just get a piece here and there when we can afford it. No, we found the entire set. So we found another credenza. So I actually have 2 of the credenzas, but we found the credenza in the mirror, the commode or end table, bedside table, a headboard, and a dresser. And we got the entire collection for $60. Yep, that happened, and I couldn't believe it. This small little town that I live in, we found the exact vintage collection that we were looking for such a good price. Best day ever. And as far as clothing goes, it's hard because there's a lot, but I actually thrifted a 1950s green satin gown, and I have not shown it to the world as of yet, but I was planning to wear it actually this month on Dapper Day at Disneyland, and alas, that is not happening. But they just announced that they're doing Dapper Day at home. So green gown's gonna make a debut. And I will link my Instagram down below. If you are not following me, that's where I'm going to post that green gown. So you're gonna wanna check it out there. But yeah, it's an amazing true vintage 1950s gown. So it has a scallop neckline. It's the prettiest shade of emerald green. It's very unique. It has kind of more of like a pencil look in the front, but then on the back, it has these really big like circles of fabric layered, kind of like a mermaid dress maybe. So that could be a hint as to what's happening for Dapper Day. So yeah, I love it. Also, I would probably choose my 1940s green suit. It is magical. It is like the prettiest, also emerald green, but it's a tailored 1940s suit. I have shown it in a few videos in a thrift haul, and I've worn it like for a few as well. But yeah, that one was the biggest steal ever. $4 for a 1940s vintage suit. So yeah, those are probably my top two, I would say. I don't know, there's a lot. If you haven't seen my thrift hauls, check them out. I will link that in the eye for you so that you can see those other pieces that I thrifted. Next question. Does your son get embarrassed about your style? No. No, the only time he gets embarrassed is when there's a lot of attention put on him. So sometimes, I guess, like with that In the Know video where his friends have been commenting about how they've seen it and stuff like that, he gets a little bit embarrassed, but not as far as like our style or our lifestyle goes. It's just the attention factor, I guess. But no. If anything, I think it just encourages him to be himself and to not care what other people think, just how you want to dress, be who you want to be. I hope anyway. I hope that's what he's getting out of it. How old are you? You have great skin. Thank you. I don't like to say, but I will say I am 30 something. I hope that satisfies. What is your favorite color? My favorite color, I mean, it does change over the years. Like, it was purple at one time, it's been red in the past, but now I have settled on a turquoise for my favorite color. So yeah, I love turquoise. My kitchen, I'm sure you've seen it, is turquoise. And yeah, that's my favorite color. It makes me happy. I think it's really pretty. Okay, this is a fun one. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? Okay, there was two things. So first of all, I wanted to be a marine biologist. It's so funny. So we had an assignment in, I think it was in elementary school, to write to a place, like think of who you wanted to be when you grow up and write to a place that was like what you wanted to do for a career. And I wrote a letter to SeaWorld because I wanted to work with the whales and the animals and all the fishes. And yeah, I actually used to have a huge fish tank. When I was in middle school, high school, I had a 45-gallon fish tank full of beautiful fish. And yeah, I love looking at fish tanks now. It's just so much work. So much work to keep those up. So yeah, no more fish tank for me. But yeah, that's what I wanted to be. Number two thing I wanted to be, because it changed a little, was an archaeologist, Egyptologist specifically. I love ancient history. I love archaeology and ancient civilization, things like that. So that was also on the list. And like that kind of morphed also into working in a museum. So yeah, my love of old things has been everlasting pretty much. So I thought, yeah, I still think it would be fun to work in a museum, honestly. I think that would be great. So yeah, I had some dreams as a kid. I think my marine biology came from just basically wanting to be a mermaid. So there's that. I had a few questions about music, and so let's see. Do you mostly listen to 50s music, or do you listen to modern music as well? Any artists or playlists you recommend? And then some people asked what my favorite 50s song was. So those are hard questions. I have a hard time narrowing it down because I love so much. So I do listen to 50s music. I wouldn't say that I only listen to that. I definitely love a wide range. I love 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and then also like 90s and early 2000s because it reminds me of high school. So yeah, I like all types of music, honestly. The second part of the question was any artists or playlists that you recommend. It's just so hard. So I love Frank Sinatra, I love Dean Martin, I love Elvis, I love Doris Day, I also love like the kind of more like upbeat music of the 50s, like some specific songs I would pick. Probably, I really like Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, Why Do Fools Fall in Love. It just puts me in a good mood every time I hear it. It's so fun. Also, I really like Frank Sinatra's version of On the Street Where You Live. For me, that one just brings that feeling like of your first love or like a first crush, when you get butterflies and you just get so excited. Like that song reminds me of that feeling, and I love that. In fact, here's a little sidebar, tiny story time. When I was in high school, my group of friends, we all had our own individual crushes, and we would all get in the car together and we would just drive by all of their houses. Like we had a little route that we would go. Great. So that song reminds me of that, and I love it. Also, Love Me Tender, Elvis. That one has a special place in my heart. I love it so much. Sometimes that one can like bring tears. I don't know why. I just really like it. I would also say I really like country music, the old school country music. I'm a huge Dolly fan. Love me some Dolly Parton. That is music of my youth. I love it so much. Plus, Dolly's just an angel on earth, basically. Also, old country gospel music I really like. So, I don't know. I hope that answered the question. I just really like a lot of different kinds. Okay, where did you meet your husband? Were you both into vintage when you met? So, I met my husband working at the movie theater. I think I've mentioned it before. I have worked at the movie theater since I was 16 years old, and that's where we met. So yeah, we were not into vintage style when we met. I mean, I have always had a love for it, but I did not dress vintage when we met, and neither did he. We've kind of evolved on this vintage journey together. Next question. What are your cats' names? So I have 4 cats. I have Dr. Emmett Brown. If you know what movie that is from, bonus points to you. Comment it down below. So yeah, we have Doc Emmett Brown, we have Alice, and we have Kenya. She is a Bengal cat, and we adopted her from a good friend. And also we have the cat in black himself, Mr. Johnny Cash. They all tend to come in and out of videos. I'm pretty sure if you've watched my videos, you've seen them here and there. Usually Johnny Cash is the one who comes the most because he's my little shadow. I love him. Okay, last question we probably have time for. I don't know how long this is going to be. Okay, favorite historical events from the 1950s. So there's a lot. The 50s was kind of like a boom time and an innovative time. It was just after the war, and the economy was kind of rebounding from the Great Depression and from the war. So there's kind of a lot. So maybe I'll just hit on like the ones that stand out. The first organ transplant happened in 1950. It was a kidney transplant. That is an amazing thing. I have friends that have had transplants and family, so that was a big deal. The first color TV in the 50s. That I know is a big deal to a lot of people. A huge one on the civil rights front was Brown versus Board of Education. So then it became illegal to segregate based on race in schools. That is a huge one. Obviously, they still had a long way to go after that, but still a big step. On a lighter note, Disneyland opened in 1955. Yay. That's definitely a bright spot, I think, in a lot of people's life. A satellite was launched, the first satellite, Sputnik, which also influenced a lot of the atomic decor and things like that I love. NASA was established in the 50s, the late 50s, like 1959, I believe. So, yeah, 50s were full of all kinds of cool stuff. Whew. Well, my friends, I think we have done it. I answered as many questions as I could. Hopefully this video isn't an hour long. I will do my best. I sure appreciate you sticking with me. If you are here this long, you're awesome. Thank you for watching. And again, I just sure appreciate all of you for being here. Thank you for all of your comments. Thank you for all of your likes and your kindness. I sure appreciate it, and I hope that I can pay that back to you somehow by making you smile, That is my goal. That's what we're working for. So if you have not subscribed already, please do so. I would love to have you stick around for more of our vintage fun. I hope that you are all safe and well. Please take care, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye.